And no, welcome back. And we are moving into our second conversation for today. And it is the first time we're actually commemorating in Belize World Condom Day. This is an initiative that is being done through the National AIDS Commission. And we have with us Program Officer for the National AIDS Commission, Keron Cacho. And we have Sheena Gentle, who is from the Belize Family Life Association, the Program and Education Officer. Good morning and welcome.
Thank you for having us.
So, we are accustomed to talking about Regional Testing Day and World AIDS Day, and now this new awareness day is being put into the mix of things. World Condom Day. Where did the decision come from to officially commemorate the day in Belize?
We actually looking at last year and trying to be as relevant as possible as the National AIDS response. We're trying to make sure that we are promoting or providing information wherever possible when it comes to sexually reproductive health. And we realize where there are disparities and where we as a response need to make sure that we are providing information in regards to condom use or sexually reproductive health in general. Looking at our statistics that we found credible allowed us to make sure that we're trying or we're making sure that we are providing the information that we need to in regards to condom use. And I want to start off by with that. The given surveys that we have, a bunch of surveys, maybe 4 or 5 of them, all highlight that condom use is an issue here in our country, so much so that we still have about 200 new infection of HIV particularly, and that's not to say about the other sexual transmitted infections. With an average of 200 new infections, male and females, in our country, there is need for concern. Some of our statistics say that early sexual debut is somewhere around 13, 14. You also have condom use at first. Sexual interaction is around 60%.
16 or
60% of
okay.
those who are engaging in sexual intercourse, and that's between the ages of 16 to 24, right? And then at last sex, we have like about 49% of those last sexual transactions utilized condoms. So it's a concern for us as a response.
Yeah, and in addition to that, in terms of the population between 15 and 49, the use of condom is between 41 and 59% between male and female as well. So it's still not a huge number of people. It's less than 50% for women. Yeah. Men are using condoms more than women with their steady partner and with non-steady partner as well.
Now, we were right before we went on air. I was asking about the knowledge that people have in terms of the purpose of using a condom and how and when to use it. Where are we in terms? I know it seems like such a basic question, but it is the foundation as to why you want people to use condoms. We
have a little over 90% of men and women between the ages of 15 and 49 who know what HIV is. Yeah. In terms of prevention, that drops to about 40 to 45% of people understanding how to prevent the transmission of HIV. So like we said, we do a lot of education. We try to run campaigns on social media, on TV. We do posters. We do, especially when it comes to World AIDS Day, Regional Testing Day, we do a lot of campaigns countrywide. However, the statistics won't lie. There are still a number of people that we're not reaching.
Yeah. Have you guys managed to cross-reference it? I love that. I think it's the sexiest thing ever. Have you guys managed to cross-reference it? What accounts for the condom usage? What factors make people use more or use less?
I think it's adapting sexual, I think it's being able to educate yourself and knowing why you're using condoms or why it's important. I think education is key for any individuals to utilize condoms. I want to jump into something in regards to the data right there. We're also noting that we've always talked about this. Some people are stigmatized because of the sugar daddy syndrome. If you look at our epidemiological data that we have in regards to HIV and AIDS, last year in 2016, the year 2016 showed that data reflected that there was an increase of infections between the age range of 35 to 49, and that's more males than females. and they also had an increase. And this has been statistically the manner in which this data has been shown. Between the ages of 15 to 19, more females are being infected, almost 2 to 1 ratio for males, female versus male. So again, a couple of things in regards to condom use. If women are allowed to use condoms, or if they have a say, or they're able to negotiate condom use at a certain point in time, I think these also determine whether or not a person will be able to use condoms. Again, I pull that because of the sugar daddy syndrome. I think that in those instances, the males have more power and authority to determine whether or not in sexual interactions, whether condoms will be used. And that's just one instance.
Yeah.
I think, again, another credible reason why condom is probably not utilized the way it ought to is the simple fact that the availability of it. We might say condoms are cheap, or sometimes they're free, but if they're available when it's needed, that's another question that we need to answer as a response.
I want to follow up on one thing, because I think it's one of the most, we don't discuss it enough. You said negotiation, and I want to go to Sheena with that, because I know BFLA does negotiation skills for young girls for this very same reason, and I want to talk about why that's important. How do you teach a young woman that in an intimate act, they are empowered enough to stop and say, we need to use a condom? Pull it out if they have it, request that he finds it, whatever it is. How do you teach someone to be, because there is a power play that takes place in an intimate moment. So talk to us about that.
One of the first things that we do is to help women to understand that it's okay to carry a condom. There's a stigma when you see a woman with a condom, like, oh, she's loose, or oh, she's ready for sex. No, you're protecting yourself. There's nothing wrong. One of the other things that we also talk about is consent. Not because you say yes at the first instant means that you have to go all the way. You can always say stop and say no. At the same time, we talk about negotiation. When we do speak about negotiation, however, we talk about healthy and non-healthy relationships, talking about abuse, talking about date rape, talking about dating violence, because it happens from an early age. And if women are empowered and they can tell that sign from early on, then they would be able to prevent certain things. In terms of actual steps that they use, they need to be creative with it. We teach different ways to put on a condom. We try to make condom use sexy, especially with our young people. It's not something that they feel is necessary, especially in the spur of the moment. So we try to let them see that, it's okay to have a condom, and there are ways. The best way to use a condom is to have the proper fit. So if you don't have a proper fit, you won't feel anything, or you won't enjoy the moment. But we try to make them understand also that condoms don't take away from sex, and it goes both ways. So it's not only the young girls that we try to educate, but the young men as well, because they need to understand the importance of respecting their partners and also protecting themselves as well.
Now, condom technology has become more advanced. I'm speaking specifically about, in my head there's a bias because we're thinking about the condoms installed on males. But there are female condoms as well. Could you speak to a little bit about that and how that is taken on, and how that could change the difficulty and the power play that's happening?
Right. There are female condoms, and the thing with female condoms is it's not made of latex. So if your partner is allergic to latex, which some people are, they can use that. That's made from polyurethane, which is a different type of plastic instead of rubber. It's a larger condom. Some people don't like it because they feel that it's clumsy. But the thing is, for a woman, they can put it in before. If they're going out, they can put it in before they leave the house, and then it will stay in until you take it out. So it gives you that protection not only from a partner, but from rape. You have some cultures who encourage that, especially when they have a high prevalence of rape. And what the female condom does, it has a ring on the inside and a ring on the outside. The ring on the inside, it also provides pleasure. The ring on the inside provides pleasure for the male. The ring on the outside provides pleasure for the female. But in Belize, we don't have a culture of really using that. It's not a popular thing. You don't see it in the stores, and if you do see it, it's
Yeah, you
more
see with the
expensive.
It's more
health clinics
expensive.
and places like
Yeah,
that.
it's more expensive.
Yeah.
You can get it free at the BFLA clinic.
Yeah.
But if you're going to buy it, it's more expensive than a male condom.
And it's a little bit more complicated to
A
install.
little
It is,
bit.
yeah.
Just a little bit. Yeah.
I say installation, that sounds bad. What's the proper term is?
Because
It's
it's a challenging conversation to have because people tend to be very wary
Yeah.
of talking about sex in general. The
Right.
taboo exists, and people really want us to be sensitive about it. But Keron mentioned, I think, what is the most important statistic, which is we are still seeing every single year new persons being infected or being testing positively
Positive.
for the first time
Yeah.
with HIV, and there are prevention mechanisms. I think when we talk about condom use, people say, okay, well, I've used one and feel that that's enough. What are we talking about what is the particular message when you talk to people about using condoms? Is it only if you're single? Is it only if it's a new partner? Should you still be using condoms if you're with one steady partner? What are the particular messages that are important for people to remember?
I think regardless of, at any standpoint, is making sure that you're using it accurately. Whatever instance you may be in terms of prevention, it's very important that you utilize and access and utilizing it and using it properly is the key messages. Everybody's situation is different, so it's just making sure that you're educating yourselves, you and your partner, your sexual partner, and making the right choice for you as an individual in utilizing the condoms.
Yeah, and if you're unsure about your status or your partner's status, even if you're in a committed relationship, it's best to
And
use.
that's something to combine what you and Marlene just said, because there might be a perception out there that if you
Or in a relationship?
yes, people would say, okay, that the usage of condom depends on time.
Yeah.
You've been dating somebody for 4 months. Listen, you probably have had relations with them, 50 times. And so the condom is just a way to graduate, not using the condom is a way to graduate the relationship, to say, listen, we are now officially there. But what you're talking about, which is the structure around making that decision. So before you get there,
Right.
you really should
Get
do some other things.
Tested.
Right, and not only for HIV. Get tested for other STIs. I mean, you have STIs that you won't see any symptoms.
Right.
So it's best that you get that STI screening, your HIV testing, and then when you get your results and everybody's clean, then you can make that decision.
And get tested often.
Often.
Because, and that's one of the things that in our society, we see the challenges with infidelity, and I think that, as much as the heartbreak of it for people is one aspect, they don't think of the health consequences.
Right.
And so while you may have suspicions of your partner cheating, or you may have confirmation that your partner's cheating, if you haven't tested, then you probably should be using a condom.
Right, and I think that will also be challenging to even bring up the conversation to your partner if you have not been using for a period of time, for years maybe, and now you want to introduce a condom because of infidelity or because you have suspicion. That is another thing that you would also need to negotiate.
Yeah.
The statistics, interestingly though, did it factor in persons who are in a long-standing relationship, married persons? How did we get the statistics?
The statistics are taken differently. Some of the statistics comes from UNICEF. They did a multiple index survey, and
You also have a CAP study. I mean, the National AIDS Response is a cadre of different organizations that work for HIV and AIDS, or work to remedy the issues that we face while working with HIV and AIDS. For us, we did knowledge and attitude and practices in regards to HIV that factored in key age ranges. It looked at sexual behaviors. There was also an organization that called the PASMO that worked with key populations, particularly MSMs, who basically looked at the various attitudes and practices of the MSM population. And we've also utilized a lot of these information, and remember Ministry of Health also devised an MOT, a modes of transmission survey, which was actually amalgamating all of the information that we currently have to indicate to us where we are and where we will be in terms of key populations and the issues that will arise. For instance, I think there might be a 73% increase of HIV infections between the MSM, men who have seen men having sex with men population. And so for us, it's utilizing all of this information, imparting this information, also replicating that in the activities that we produce for the key populations. That is key for us as a response.
Now, I think Kevin touched on it a bit, and I think it's important to talk about. The sexual practices of people change with time, and it's one that I think as we get older, we lose touch of very easily. What we were doing when we were younger is different from what the kids are doing now. Yeah. And when you talk about men having sex with men, it doesn't mean homosexual.
No.
And in fact, there are men who are married in a heterosexual relationship who have sex with men. And so I feel like it's such a challenge to be able to talk about all the different risk factors that exist when we talk about HIV. But it has to be said, otherwise people simply think it's only if you are a commercial sex worker, you're at risk.
Right.
And they're actually better at condom usage than most people.
Right.
Yeah. They get tested very often. I mean, that's their job, that's their livelihood, so they kind of protect that. But you're right, you do have some men who don't identify as homosexuals or gay men, but they do have sex with men. And that poses a risk because you're in a committed marriage to this person as the wife, you don't know. And then you're probably having unprotected sex as well, so you're at risk. The person that he is having sex with is also at risk, and if it's multiple persons, then the risk becomes even higher.
I think also this makes it very difficult in terms of intervention, because these are the unseen population, the populace. So our interventions has to be tailored to meet, in that case, the general populace, because they don't want to be identified as MSM. If you're thinking MSM, also think about the Colby Foundation in terms of what might be happening there. And these are avid individuals that don't foresee themselves as men having sex with men or as homosexuals, but because of the environment, it happens, it occurs.
And sometimes in terms of the environment that people are in, whether it be an institution, a school, a group, that also has an impact on the level of access of education and also the condoms. You have some institutions who don't want to see BFLA at all because they feel that the information that we share would encourage promiscuity, right? And then I would say students or the population of that institution, they need the information and they're very naive and they're the ones out there still having sex, but are they having it, do they have the correct information? Are they going by myths, things that their friends are saying, things that they see on TV?
Is the celebration of World Condom Day, though, a shift from the strategy to say abstinence is the best way not to get pregnant, not to get STDs, is it a shift in the campaign?
No, it's not a shift. Abstinence has always been something that BFLA, I don't know about
and the national is responsible.
Yes, we still promote. However, we do understand that sex is still happening, during all the.
And that's not a bad thing, man.
It's not a bad thing,
but if you're doing it,
very good thing.
If you're gonna do it properly and protect yourself with it. So we always promote abstinence first, and it's in all of our CSE, information. However, we won't ignore what's really happening.
I was gonna say that. I always feel, and I think it is important to say that. Maybe we don't say it enough, that most health institutions do promote abstinence, and in fact, but the concept of having an abstinence-only approach is like being an ostrich. You know it's taking place, and you have to be able to talk to all target populations. Now, once upon a time there was a HIV-friendly work policy, I think, and you'd actually have businesses and organizations that would make access to condom use and HIV education as easily accessible as possible. So much so that you go into a bathroom and there would be a basket of free condoms available. So you never have to go to a store. You never have to ask. You never have to wonder whether or not you'll have access to one. Is that still in place? And maybe given the statistics, maybe it's time to bring it back. If not,
I think it has died down. The promotion isn't there anymore specifically for that, but it is something because we are a part of the information education and communications group from the National AIDS Commission, and it's something that we have discussed that we want to roll out sometime this year, looking at training specifically healthcare providers and giving them a mark, like the TripAdvisor mark, something like that. So, when you go to that establishment, they're trained for non-discrimination and you'll be able to access proper information as well.
You talked about trying to make condom usage sexy, but it also has to be cool. I know in the past there was a campaign where you had, I think, barbers engaged.
Yeah, that was through YWCA.
Yeah. What about World Condom Day this year? You have built in to make it cool. I mean, this is
our first year trying to bring
talking
it.
to the young people, millennials there.
This is our first year trying to bring it in, so of course we're still learning different ways. For BFLA, we normally still go into the schools. Like today, we're going into Wesley College, and we're going to do our KISS booth, our Keeping It Sexy and Safe booth, and we talk about condom use.
I was just getting worried.
We talk about the prevention of HIV, STI, and unwanted pregnancy. Of course, condom use is one of our big things that we talk to them about as well.
Yeah. And the school allows you to talk about it?
The school actually asked us to come in.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to get other schools inviting us over, and also where we could provide free services for them as well.
Do you still face barriers in getting women to carry their own condoms?
Some women, they don't care. They have it. Some women are more liberated than others, but like you said, it's still a taboo. People don't even want to talk about sex. They don't even want to say the word sex or condom. Sometimes we go out and we have our displays, and it's not, it's very risque. Sometimes we have our displays out.
It's very real, but people call it risky.
Yeah.
And let's take the time to talk about those very common condom misconceptions. And you've probably heard them all.
Yeah.
So where do we start? I suppose the first one you'll hear is it reduces the sensitivity. Is that the truth?
No.
That's incorrect, and that's the reason why this generation of condoms, there are varied varieties of condoms. Condoms started off from I did some research, 1830s, and 1850s. The first rubber type was invented. I don't even want to
imagine what it was like,
or whatever, right? Some pictures that I saw, I was like, whoa, right? And then they invented the animal skin, and then that's for persons who were hyperallergenic, who had allergies or using latex. And now the two main is the latex and the polyurethane, different size, different colors, different textures that allows for the for pleasure with utilizing condoms. I know we mentioned condoms a lot, but a part of intervention when we're talking about intervention and condom use is that we don't talk a lot about the lubricant use or the use of lubricants while accessing condoms. There's a lot of stigma attached to utilizing lubricants, that it's primarily utilized during anal sex, or it's for an MSM populace. But it's not necessarily so. If you've looked on the TV recently, you can see there's miracles that can be done with utilizing particular brands of lubricants.
I don't know what channel you're watching.
The regular channel, right? But again, there is a variety of condoms out there. Another common myth that I've always heard, often laugh, is, when you're unsure, you double up, when utilizing condoms.
That's a horrible practice, right?
Right.
Why?
But
very ineffective.
I don't know why one condom is not enough, but I've heard it on and on. It never gets old.
So the science behind that would be friction of two condoms will make it ineffective.
It will break.
Yeah. And then one of the biggest myths, like we mentioned earlier, is that a woman should not have a condom. Empowerment. A woman should not be empowered to have a condom. That means that she's promiscuous if she has a condom. It means that she has an agenda. Not necessarily. I mean, she might have a health agenda.
Yeah.
But again, because the way we are cultured, the way we look at women, the lack of empowerment for women allows us to look at women in certain manner, and these are some of the issues that we're trying to resolve as we try to promote people, educate individuals.
Don't keep it in your back pocket, in your wallet.
Don't keep it in your wallet, back pocket, glove compartment.
Don't leave it in the vehicle.
Nowhere.
Where do you keep it?
In a cool, dry place, maybe in the drawer beside the bed, maybe in your pocket, the front pocket.
Yeah.
But don't leave
Not
it in
too
your
long.
wallet.
Yeah.
And then always check the expiration date.
Right.
Yeah.
Check to see if there's any damage to the packaging as well.
And the fit, because I know that is always one of the excuses that people would use as well.
Yeah. There are different sizes to fit your penis. Yeah. There are different sizes to fit.
It's a scientific word. No, but I mean, because, and I've seen some crazy demonstrations to show how much it can, a condom can extend.
Yeah, it can actually hold up to a gallon of water.
Yeah.
It can go over a small watermelon. It could go over your fist. So, it can stretch. And then you have magnum sizes and you have the normal regular sizes as well.
And again, I've seen different demonstrations also, right and wrong, and I think that plays a crucial role in the manner in which the condom will be used, if it will break or not. If you're putting on a condom and there's air in it, it will break, right? If you're not utilizing lubricant, sometimes the body might not be, moist enough. Then you utilize lubricants, which helps prolong the life and longevity of the condom and the condom use itself. So all of this has to be, placed into factor when you're utilizing condoms in general.
Can I ask this question? It's a dark area. I'm a parent, and my daughter is 14 years old. I have maybe a suspicion that she might be active, and I find a condom somewhere around. How do I approach something like that? In terms of how do I deal with as a parent, or even my son being 16 or 15, and watching the program, hey, I'm going to have a condom. How, as a parent, should I take that?
There are different approaches. First of all, you want to go respectfully and not defensively. And then secondly, if the child is under the age of consent, that is a conversation that you would want to have with him or her as well. The age of consent is 16, so anything below that is considered illegal. But if they're still insisting on having sex, I think it's something that you both want to be open about. You can tell them your fears, have them tell you their expectations, and it's a conversation. It's not something that will be, you won't have a general outcome. It depends on the parent and the child as well, the relationship that you already have. But open communication is always recommended in situations like those.
And if you're a parent that might be uncomfortable with the situation and you seek assistance from some specialist or counselor or even a sex ed that could be able to assist you with having that discussion.
Take them to BFLA.
Take them to BFLA.
That's it.
And that's an interesting question to ask. How many fathers tell their sons how to properly use a condom? And at what age? The fundamental point is they'll get the information somewhere or the other.
Right.
It's either the right one from you or whatever else people are telling them.
Usually their friends have some misconception and they share it among themselves, and or they see it on the internet.
Or a version on the TV.
But you touched on something which has been a taboo area and a controversial area as well, which is sexual activity in the prisons and whether or not there should be access to condoms in our prisons. Do you think that's an easy answer? Do you think the answer must and should be yes?
It's tricky. I will say it's tricky. But you have a right to health, a right to access health care, regardless, wherever institution, wherever you're placed.
It's illegal to have
But
sex
they're not
in jail.
allowed. They're not allowed.
It's illegal. It's really depending upon
it's
the
happening.
institution. But it's happening. I mean,
So the answer should be yes.
yes. I'm saying that it's a human right for you to be protected. It's a human right for you to have access to health and healthcare services. If you're a human, you're required to have these things. But again, it's based upon the institution. It's based upon, it's a conversation that us as a response as a country need to have in terms of prevention, because the idea is these individuals are having unprotected sex. They come back into the general population, and then in turn, that creates another situation, which again increases the rate of infection. And mind you, we were speaking earlier of, notably 200 individuals on an annual basis being infected. That's of those who we know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
Those are reported
cases. So there's a lot of people, and we've also seen this when we're doing these outreach, that a lot of people come up and do testing, yes, but we try to be as inventive as possible to go to persons who don't come to us, because that's where the investment needs to be placed. Right?
Okay, so what is our final message today on International Condom Day?
Well, tomorrow is Valentine's Day, and I know everybody's going to be celebrating. So,
However,
if you're,
With roses,
not sure, with roses, chocolates, wine, and you never know what happens
points.
next.
and whatever else is in the basket.
So if
Nothing
you're not
else.
sure about your status, just use a condom.
Yeah.
Right, and I also want to make sure that you guys know that condoms is still one of the cheapest form of contraceptive.
Yeah.
And it's available more so than we ought to. We just have to be comfortable in the way we talk about condom, we negotiate condoms. We need to continue to empower ourselves and educate ourselves as to what is important for us. And we also, given the climate that we're in, need to start to develop family planning. As times are getting very hard, we also need to realize that condoms are there.
Yeah.
We don't necessarily have to have 3, 4, 5
Its
kids.
primary purpose is HIV prevention, but it can help if used effectively
Right.
to prevent pregnancy as well.
Yeah.
And the discussion is everybody. It's not just a certain populace. It's not just a certain institution. We all need to talk about condom and condom use.
We have to be more comfortable. We know the issues we
Yes.
have in our country. So, but thank you for coming in and having this conversation on here as well. And of course, this is the first time it's being commemorated. So we hope that people have learned something new this morning as well. Right? So thank you. We're going to go ahead and take a break. And when we come back, we'll be talking about new services and promotions coming out of SMART. So stay tuned.